Okay, today I'm going to do a service, just a bearing service on the Sturmey Archer AW hub. Now the AW has been around for years. It was replaced briefly by the, let me get this right, AM. I've got one here, partially stripped down. There we go. Oh no, sorry, SW. It was briefly replaced by that, which is a thinner, smaller, more compact design, but it didn't work. It wore a bit too quickly. So they went back to the AW, and the AW's been around since. And I'm just going to do a little bearing service on this today, because it can be quite complicated with regards to what's inside this. If you want to see what's inside it, I'll do another video later on this hub, because this hub is completely seized up. So I need to completely strip this down to see if I can save it and see how bad or good a condition it is inside. But that is completely seized, so this one will be a complete tear down. However, today we're working on this one. Now this particular AW is from 1981, there's a date stamp on the side, and it has a very, very worn cog, that's what you call it. And servicing bearing wise, there are 3 different races inside. There's one on the non-drive side, one at the top here on the drive side, and one underneath here. So to access them, first we've got to, let's take out the spindle, indicator chain, let's take out the indicator chain, take off the axle nut. Now we're going to have to take this cog off, and it's held on by a little compression ring around there, so we're going to need a screwdriver. Hopefully this should just, it won't do it. There we go. If you leave it over the top, there we go. So you've got the ring that comes off. Now underneath that, you've got the cog. If yours wears with this, you can get different ones. If you're finding the gearing's too difficult, there's lots of different sizes available, and they're generally, I think, all in this specific pattern. So you can change those pretty easy if you want to. Change the ratios up. And underneath that you should have 2 spacers. And then underneath that again, you'll have just this little, I guess, kind of dust cover. So we'll do the drive side first, because this is kind of like the fixed side. You do all the adjustments to the play in the non-drive side. And on top we have a lock nut, followed by it's kind of a lock washer, and then underneath you've got the cone for the first set of bearings, which is in this part here. So this appears to be 15 or slightly smaller. Lock washer, and then the cone washer, which I'm guessing is going to be a 16 or thereabouts. And what I've done with this cone wrench here is I've had to file it down so it's slightly thinner. The Sturmey Archer cones are slightly smaller on the flats. Okay, now underneath there you've got this spring, so be careful you don't lose that, and it's got a little cap on top as well. And then you can literally just lift out the first bearing race, which is trapped inside here, so we're going to have to pop that cap off. But first, we're going to service this race. Now this race is full of, oh, what size are those? We'll find out in a second. Full of bearings, and you can just pop it off. It's held down by this lock ring, and you can pop that off just by levering the sides up with your screwdriver. Gently does it, and be very careful not to drop any bearings inside. So in there you have, let me just check the size. Okay, so they look to be 3/16 of an inch, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 24 3/16 bearings in there, which we're gonna carefully remove. Ooh. Okay, now just give this area a little clean round, give the bearings a clean out, and give the top cap a clean out, and we'll go on to the greasing. Bearings are clean, and the cap is clean as well. So just going to put a thin layer of grease, not too thick. You don't want to really pile it on this, because the thick grease, if it gets down in the mechanism, might clog it all up. So just going to run if I can get any out. Yeah, just enough to coat the base. Okay, that should do it. And now put the 24 bearings back in. And once you've done that, just grab your little plate, and you're going to need to press it back into place. Just use a mallet. Okay, that looks nice and even. So bearing race number 1 is done. The second bearing race on the drive side is in here. And then this is a caged bearing race, which is one of the Sturmey Archer specific ones. So it's got this top cap on, so we're just going to have to lever that out. There we go, where I'm flying. And again, this one's actually got good grease in it. I'm going to take it out, clean it all out. If you need to replace these bearings, buy the specific ones off eBay. SJS Cycles, I think, has them. Lots of different places, and the code is actually a HSA284 for this little assembly, but they are about £2.50 per side also, so just be wary of that. Now that's all clean, so we're going to just put a tiny little bit just around here, just to coat it. But the majority is going to be squeezed inside this bearing race. Now if you don't look after these bearings, as you've seen in the front dyno hub video, they collapse. So look after these. That's going to drop in there, all nicely greased up. Going to pop the cap in, just take this out of the vise for a second and close it up. Grab the mallet and boop. There you go, back in place. And now with both those bearings done, bearing race is done, you can start to put this side back together. So you got the spring, you got the, I believe this is the clutch mechanism actually. That'll just drop into place into a specific slot. Cone. And right. Now what I meant about this side being the fixed side, Sturmey Archer axle has flat sides on it, as does this little lock washer. So there's only a certain amount of possibilities where this cone nut can be. So you could have it there, you can tighten it up another bit, and it's far too tight. So you've got to get it to the right spot. I mean, even there's a bit tight. I'm happy with that there, but we'll have to do the other side first. Actually, let's put it there. Okay, set it to there, put the lock nut on, and then go on to the other side. Now the non-drive side is fairly simple, and apparently it's already loose. So you've got your lock nut on top, which again is roughly a 15mm. Underneath that you have a little washer, and underneath that is the cone. Inside is another cap, so we're going to have to release that, and inside that are the bearings. Oh, that was easy. So again, we're going to clean up inside there, clean up the nuts, the washers and the bearings, and then get back to you. Okay, we're all clean. We're going to run a bit of grease around here again, just a thin layer. And the majority, again, we're going to put inside the race itself. Make sure it's squeezed in between all those bearings, and pop that in. You got your dust cap, you got your mallet, got your cone, washer and your lock nut. Now we've got to set the tension. Gotta get this right. So I'm just feeling where the play is, where the play starts. Definitely play there. A little bit. Okay, we're going to try there, see how it spins. Without the wheel on, it's quite difficult to see. There's no play in it. It seems to spin fairly freely. Might just crank it back a little bit. Yeah, I think we're good there. And we go back over to the drive side to finish it off. So you got your dust cover-esque thing. You got your two spacers. You got your cog. I'm just going to see if we've got a different one, because this is very worn, like the teeth are very thin. And so yes, I do have a spare one. Put the new one on. Going to press the lock ring back on. So I've found if you just hook it over the back first and then pull it down, there you go, it clips in. That's locked on. You generally have one of these washers in place, whether it's that side or that side, but it helps guide the wheel axle into the dropouts. Put your indicator window nut on, your castle nut, whatever you want to call it, and your indicator spindle. So that should be one serviced hub. Fresh grease in there, fresh bearings, just the bearings only service. If you want to get in deeper, I will do the other hub which is seized and see if we can bring that back to life, but for now, one hub, ready to use, ready to go back into action. See, there we go. Hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. Leave a little comment if you want. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. And again, leave a little comment as to where to improve. If you like the content, subscribe for more. And I will catch you in the next video.